My work has spanned from Initial D to fan works and other fandoms to, of course, the Touhou Eurobeat series published by A1. I think there was originally intended to be a series of questions prior, but I don't see anything to that effect at the moment, so I might just take questions from the crowd until evidence to the contrary. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Do you want like a moment to breathe, or?
Pardon?
Do you want a moment to breathe, or?
Well, it'd be nice, but I'm already this late.
Okay. I mean,
I'll catch my breath over time. I should probably let Miko know that I'm here.
Who's honking that horn?
Are there any questions?
It's a Chen cosplayer.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
What's your favorite fan word?
I'm sorry?
What's your favorite fan word?
My favorite pen work, just in general or of my own?
For Touhou.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Would it be disrespectful to
I really like the Cafe de Touhou series. It's just so chill. I would have thought even for myself that it would be one of the one of the Eurobeat Touhou series, like Touhou Eurobeat, Touhou Euro Flash. No, I really like the chill stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of the music group is my favorite, but Cafe de Touhou stands out in particular.
You know how to get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Touhou song, and what is your favorite Touhou song you haven't done a cover of yet?
The DJ Command remix of Miracle Hinacle and the DJ Command remix of Miracle Hinacle. Anyone else? I thought I saw it, yes, in the back. Good question. So I was actually a very active part of the community forums over at FanMA, which is a little bit closer to home for me. And there were quite a few Touhou fans there. And I saw someone playing the game on their laptop just in a very casual hangout. And I was very curious because it didn't look or sound anything like a lot of the games that I knew about. It's like, yeah, it's like a shmup, but everything is, the bullets shoot bullets, and then those shoot bullets, and then it sounds really pretty, but by the time I can take anything in, I've died. So I looked into it, and I remember the first game that I played was Perfect Cherry Blossom on like a hand-me-down laptop my dad gave me. And I was rubbish at it, but I fell in love very quickly. And then it was all downhill from there. Anyone else? Yes?
What sparked your initial love for Eurobeat in particular?
So I grew up in a family of musicians. My mom played piano, dad played bass, my sister played drums, my brother played guitar, I played keys. We got so many Partridge Family jokes. And I was always drawn to whatever kind of music had interesting chord progressions in it. That always catch my ear a little bit. And with that, I remember one year we were walking around at the amusement park up in Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and there was a strange, silly-looking dance game that had this song like Boom Boom Dollar, and I was fascinated with it. It sounded so silly, but so fascinating. So I kept getting drawn to DDR, and then with that, I found out, wait, some of these aren't Eurobeat, some of these are Eurobeat. I tend to like these. These are all Eurobeat. Okay, so what's up with that? So DDR got me into eventually making Eurobeat. Yeah. Yes?
Is there any other type of music you would like to make?
Gosh, what don't I want to make? That's the thing. I'd love to make more kawaii future bass. I want to do color bass. I even want to try hyperpop at some point, just for funsies. I want to get back into classical stuff again. I don't know. I just want to do all the things. I'm like a dog. I just do things. Yes. So I used to be able to pick. Over time, with the Touhou Eurobeat series, A1 actually assigns me a couple of songs to mesh together into one. I remember after about, when I started joining directly on A1's series, like the third to like what, the fifth volumes, I was able to pick which songs I remixed. And then after that, they assign me the songs, and like we like one song out of these two, or we want these two songs to be released into their own songs. So unless I want to stop working with A1 directly, or unless I'm doing something solo, it's essentially state mandated. Yes.
So like, how did A1 reach out to you to start the collaborations? That's something I've been wondering.
So originally they didn't actually. I was already working with Sugano, a very talented producer, for original work, and then he was working on Toho Eurobeat, the first couple of volumes, and because I was involved that way, Elementus of A1 reached out to me through that, at least just for payment details. And then on the third volume, I just threw in a song of my own, and that kind of built that connection of working with them directly. So I kind of was connected through Sugano. Yes?
Do you like trance?
I have to be in a certain mood for trance music. I don't mind it, but I don't know, trance music tends to be a little bit chill. Which again, I don't mind, but if I'm getting into that kind of stuff, I usually prefer Eurobeat. Well, I don't bite. Any other questions? Yes?
Someone was thinking of getting into like music production. What do you think of course?
It's a good question. If you're talking about like getting into music production and composition like that, find a program and play with it. Get lost in it. Go out and get a bunch of demos. You can get the demo for like FL Studio, Bitwig, Ableton, Logic Pro if you're on a Mac. Lord knows why. And find one that you enjoy. From there, you can learn things like music theory and mixing and things like that. But the key is you have to figure out like how to put, sort of metaphorically, pen to paper before you start figuring out the techniques. Better to find a way to start and just make sounds come out before you worry about making those sounds sound good. So many people think they have to get a specific program or a specific series of plugins, and that's just, don't fall for that. Get what works for you and learn how to make magic. No worries.
I had to get food. I literally have not eaten since this whole thing started.
All good. Friends, Miko-san, head of the convention. Woo! Would you like this mic?
No, yeah.
I'm not gonna throw it.
No.
He doesn't even need to use
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't need it. So, okay. You guys, so you okay, so
Claudio.
sorry.
You look like amalgam.
You just did your intro, yes?
Yep, and I took a couple questions from the audience.
Okay, yeah, that was supposed to be like that. That was supposed to be towards the end, but that's fine. Okay, so you did your intro like that. So you typically always ask all these questions. Like, so
Oticon AX.
as the most basic question, what got you into
This
Toho?
is my second.
That was one of the questions, but I think we've had a few people pop in since then. So I was a very active member of the forums for Fanime, the convention up north, and I remember there was a hangout going on where one of the members was playing Toho on their laptop, and I was like, this sounds and looks like nothing I've ever seen before. I'd be rubbish at this. Go on. And it turns out, yeah, I was rubbish at it, but I eventually looked into it, eventually got a laptop, like got a hand-me-down laptop from my dad, installed the Perfect Cherry Blossom, and I fell in love ever since then. And then not long after that, I met Sugano, we worked together, and then I was on Toho Eurobeat through it. They won.
And how long have you been producing music?
Oh Christ. I looked back recently. Apparently I was putting stuff out on the internet around about 2005, 2006. So 10, 15, 17, 18 years? Don't go that far back. It's amateur would be kind.
Also, well, and then also of course a Toho, of course Toho related question. What are your top five favorite Toho characters?
Not fair. Okay.
You think I would make it easy?
Number 15. Let's see. In no particular order, Yuyuko, Yomu, Reimu. I think I like Sanai more than I thought. And my absolute favorite, Byakura and Hijiri.
So fucking good.
We love Yokai Jesus Mommy.
I'm trying to keep it together.
That's okay. As you can see, I'm still working with him.
So, now of course you don't just do, obviously, you know, the Touhou Eurobeat soundtrack. You've obviously worked with, you obviously have done a lot of other genres as well. So tell us a little bit about like your My Little Pony experience.
How did I know? So a lot of people have this misconception that I did MLP and then I did the initial D, Touhou Eurobeat, the originals. That's actually not true. I was actually doing all that and then MLP kind of came along to the side. Long story short, this is about to get dark real quick. In 2010, my family experienced the loss of a loved one to pretty blatant and severe malpractice. And I turned towards cartoons and animation to cope. And I saw a few folks talking about the new MLP series being helmed by Lauren Faust, who I was familiar with through like Cats Don't Dance, Powerpuff Girls, etc. And I got interested in that. It's like, this is really comfortable. I'll take a look at the first episode. It's gotta be garbage. Oh, it's two-parter. Okay, the third one, it's not really like the second ones. Oh no. Which I imagine is pretty similar to a lot of, like, maybe earlier sort of prejudices notwithstanding, probably very similar to a lot of Touhou people's, like Touhou fans' experience of like, what is this? This doesn't look like my kind of thing at all. Oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, what is it? Oh no. But actually, it's kind of coincidental. The artwork for my remix of Call Upon the Sea Ponies is a mashup of Nitori as a sea pony, drawn by Modern Warmare, who's another Touhou fan up north. So, yeah, that cross went. Actually, there was a pony convention in Japan where there's a lot of Touhou crossover. There's a lot of love between the two scenes over in Japan right now.
Oh my god.
So that was pretty interesting.
So now here's an interesting question for you. So obviously your main thing is, you know, creating and composing Eurobeat music.
Yeah.
So what was like probably your first Eurobeat, you know, experience? Like where did you first hear about it, and why? What draws you to like that specific genre? Like why not like let's say, you know, like let's say perhaps like an instrument or like let's say classical or like rock? What draws you to Eurobeat?
Oh, I actually did have some piano lessons and drum lessons prior to Eurobeat production, but I remember my family was walking along the Santa Cruz Beach boardwalk for a little while, and there was this strange arcade machine with these funny little arrows and this weird song about booms and dollars. It sounded vaguely sexual in the cheesiest way possible. And I'm like, this sounds like the cheesiest, most fascinating thing ever. And I listened to that, listened to a few other ones. Basically, DDR got me more and more into Eurobeat, and then I'm like, you know what, I want to try my hand at this. So I tried to make it out of General MIDI. Don't laugh. Actually, you can laugh. I know I did. But yeah, it was mostly just like DDR rhythm games before anything else really. Like, I didn't even know what Initial D was until sometime later.
And I also know that, so, you know, and then kind of going off of that, so what's the process like for you to come up with, like, when you're composing, like, the original songs? Like, do you have, like, okay, I have, like, a specific beat or melodies, or do you write, like, the lyrics first, and then, like, I have the lyrics, and then do you write, you know, the melody? So what's that process like?
That's a good question. I'll try to break it down to, in general, the way that I should do it, the way I usually do it for originals, and the way that I do it for Touhou Eurobeat, just to kind of bring it back to theme. The way I should do it is I should write lyrics and general chords, transpose that into the DAW, and just kind of flesh that out. And then Eurobeat's very much a template: intro, riff, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, etc. And then synth, brass, bass, FM bass, offbeats, drum machine, guitars. So it's easy enough to kind of flesh that out. But what I'll usually do is I'll have an idea for the riff first, like the synth brass, the sort of punchy bit. And I'll usually start with that and build bass off of that. Which I shouldn't do, but I managed to work around that. And for Touhou, actually, I'm usually assigned 1 or 2 tracks by A1, and they'll say, you know, mix these 2 together. And I'll listen to both of them, kind of get an inspiration, literally draw like a mind map of the character, and then I'll usually come up with a riff idea based on the ideas of either that character or that theme. Yeah.
And I was also going to ask as a follow-up, so how many albums have you done with A1, the Toho Eurobeat?
Every numbered volume, plus I think it's every numbered volume. That's about it. That's up, what, 22, 23? 23.
Wow.
23?
I think so. I've been at this for a while, I'm old.
And approximately then, going off of that, so how many songs do you think you yourself, if you kept track of that, how many songs approximately do you think you either worked on, like you done remixes, or have created yourself?
Just from the Toho Eurobeat series?
No, I'm just saying, just in general. Yeah, just in general.
If I had to ballpark,
Just
educated
ballpark.
guess, I'd say just south of 100.
That is impressive. That is very impressive.
I've been at this a hot minute. I hope that I have a good discography. Well, a discography, good.
Mm. Also, of course, slightly, different, topic, but I know that one thing you do is that you also do streams and you also do VTubing as well. So, what got you started with that?
That's a good question. I didn't think that I was going to get into it. I thought QnA was interesting. I thought, I also got really interested in the HoloLive. And then a friend of mine was like, yeah, I think I'm going to be a VTuber, but, I don't know if I could pull it off. I'm not on that level. I'm like, you don't have to be like HoloLive level to get into VTuber. You can just do it. So he's like, okay, I think I'll do it. What about you? I'm like, I'm not really there. I'm not really like HoloLive level. I don't think I can do it. And then I did it anyway. It just kind of made more sense because being on camera was fine, but I didn't want to focus too much on that. If I was gonna appear on the screen, I wanted it to be a bit more character driven. I don't know. It's just a very interesting dynamic. But yeah, I guess I've been doing some more of that lately.
I also know, of course, you do have a Discord community as well too, which I'm a part of, like that as well. Yay! Yeah, I definitely recommend if you haven't, definitely check it out. It's they're all really chill and stuff like that. They have a Toho section, Eurobeat section, My Little Pony section. They got they got everything. But yeah, no. Now here's an interesting question. So do you, at least when it comes to Toho and Eurobeat, do you feel like, I actually once proposed this question myself, actually. Do you feel like people, they get into Toho first, and then they find out, hey, then they find you, or they, they know about you first, and then oh, hey, honestly, also does Eurobeat. So what do you think about that one? How do you think, the split is? What do you think?
It seems pretty even in my experience. Some people find out about one through the other, they'll find another through one. I have been a bit of a turning point for a few folks. I know that I've, been in enough scenes to where I've sent some folks that are fans of VTubers down into Toho territory, and then some Toho fans into Eurobeat, and some Eurobeat fans into Toho, and Toho fans into MLP, into Eurobeat, all kinds of, it's kind of a cluster. But I don't mind it. I like being able to, I kind of like being a point where people can find something new that they're interested in, and overlap in that sense.
Mm-hmm. And of course, obviously with Toho, you got over 200, and counting whatever soundtracks and themes and such. Do you have let's say a top 10 themes, in no particular order, themes either it's based off the original music, let's just say the original themes.
Ooh, okay.
One that 10 that really stands oh my gosh, this is so amazing, or ones that man, I really want to get into the series.
The character themes that get really got me interested.
Yeah, character themes, stage themes. I mean, it doesn't. I guess you could say you could include remixes too. Someone that they did this remix of this character song. It could be anything like that. Is there any particular ones you like?
So, gosh, my taste here is so basic too. That's the problem. I think that the ones that really solidified my love were, I really liked Yuko's theme. There was a remix of Yomu's theme that I ended up kind of paying an homage to in Adequate, but the name is eluding me. Very much love that one. Gyakuren Hijuri's theme, very anthemic. I also just love the okay, it's less of even it's not even a theme. It's just basically like a little arpeggio. Just the theme of Toho, just do 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 do. I just love that one leitmotif. It's just enough to get me to say like, oh, I know where I am now. I'm in familiar territory. We can't stop here. This is Toho territory.
And also, as of course, as a VTuber, other than obviously yourself, because that's biased, do you, what are some other VTubers, that you really enjoy watching, or you might recommend to the audience, perhaps?
Gosh, that's a good question. I feel like with VTubers, it's a very interesting thing because I don't think it's as normal as any other streamer insofar as it's kind of not for everybody. That said, I do quite like Nina Kosaka of Nijisanji English. I've actually been catching a lot more Rin Penrose. I'll pop into my friend Avanil's stream from time to time. He's basically a kitty bat that produces happy hardcore and makes squeaky noises if you compliment him. Who else do I enjoy? I used to watch a lot more Hololive, but I guess lately it's been more like indies and Nijisanji. I've been watching a lot of Orihime and a lot of Akuma Nimune. Very polar opposites, really. Those are a few. I feel like I've just, I don't know, that could be a whole different panel for a whole different thing.
And of course, then as a music producer, so who are other music producers, musicians, composers, creators in general that you look up to or that you recommend as well? Dave Rogers probably is one of them.
So it's interesting. I really like a lot of Dave Rogers' earlier work, and I like how much fun he's having now. I'm not sure how much I vibe with the current production style, but obviously, Dave is still the hero that Eurobeat deserves right now. I would actually point towards the indie scene a bit right now, like Ryuko just across the way. If you haven't checked out Ryuko Pegasasu's booth or the Galaxian Recordings booth, definitely check that out. I still have a lot of love for DJ Command over at Eurobeat Union. Used to be Akiba Kobo. Did a remix of Miracle Hinacle that just it's audio caffeine. It's absolutely adorable. Of course, it's the one time that I have the chance to talk about this when my brain empties. Turbo actually has been getting a lot more active in the Toho Eurobeat scene, and watching him emerge and really hopping into that has been fantastic. Turbo makes some really fascinating Eurobeat remixes. Yeah. And that's as much as my brain can muster at the moment. I think I left my brain cells back to the hotel room.
Yeah, so, and of course more towards the convention scenes and stuff like that here. So so far I know you flew in last night and such, but so far yesterday was like a nice social mixer, relaxing. But so far are you enjoying yourself at Touhoufest so far?
Absolutely. Actually, I found it interesting. There's a very different air here. Because I've been to fandom-specific conventions before, very often. I've built a career out of My Little Pony conventions, basically. But the vibe here is very different. It's not that I don't get this at MLP conventions. There's definitely a sense of creativity and camaraderie, but here, it feels like there's such distinct spheres. There's people that are interested in the music, there's people that are interested in the fumos, there are people that are interested in cosplay. While they're distinct, there's also a lot of respect and a lot of bleed over between them. And I feel like and not just that, but even sort of outwards as well. There's hints towards other fandoms, other materials as well. I noticed that with the MLP scene, there's a bit more of a sense of keeping it to itself, which has its benefits, but I love how receptive and kind of down to earth just my experience at this convention has been. It's been a lot more chill. I really like that.
Thank you. We've tried our best to make sure, trying to build up that vibe in that community and such. Because as I said before, the Toho, we wanted to. So when we, started, planning for this, one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to kind of reach out to the community and such. Because obviously Toho is very much community driven, as you pretty much said, all these different subgroups too, and all that stuff. And we really wanted to try to build that up. So we definitely, I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. So you've been to other conventions and such. So what other conventions that you've been to, you've either guested or you've attended, that you're like, oh my gosh, I really like the vibe, that that you recommend as well?
I just realized something. You're like half obscured by the.
Oh,
by the thing.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Like people see the fantastic cosplay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I've actually, so funny thing is, I've actually had this cosplay since 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, I ordered the base of the outfit, and then I saw, the base outfit is, not bad, but it's, a bit plain. So I thought, okay, let's add, this thing here. I don't have, more trim, more of this gold and stuff like that. I don't have my cape with me, but, I had to get the cape, remade, at least 2 or 3 times. So, and then, of course, I got, the sword I had to redo, and then I've got, the prop, all that stuff. And it's yeah, that's when, you realize, any one of these, you're probably well aware, it's when you jump down the rabbit hole, right? Toe,
Yep.
oh, what is Toe? The music, and then oh my gosh, and then you're before you know it, you're listening for hours of Toho music.
Yup.
And then obviously you're a VTuber. You're oh, there's all this, and there's all these other VTubers. And that's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Explains a whole rabbit hole. It's yeah. And at this point, I'm so far deep in, I can't even go get out anymore.
Yeah. I mean, who wants out? It's fine here. It's comfortable here.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of cross-pollination there could be between some of the rabbit holes in the near future, like Toho and VTubing, because there's already a lot of inroads between those two. Not to say that it would necessarily work so much as I'm curious to see where that could go.
Also, a quick question, because I don't have my phone on me. What's the time right now? Anyone?
3:33.
3:33? Okay.
We got time. We got
We
time.
got about 20 minutes. Okay, cool, great.
Relax. We're doing
I guess probably a couple more questions then before we open up to the open up the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously tonight is going to be your performance, right?
good. Mm-hmm.
The night right here. So who's excited for that? Yeah.
Probably on this table.
Do you have any previews, or you're gonna keep it quiet?
Nice show.
That
That's a secret.
That is a secret.
I will say this. I went out of my way I didn't originally make these with the intention of performance. I originally thought that this was going to be its own separate thing, that it would just be on CDs and that's it. So the idea of performing them in front of a crowd only kind of waveringly came to mind over the last decade or so. And I went back to try to make performance versions of some of the older songs, and some of them are in my set tonight. Some of them it would have taken too long, and others were just outright corrupted. But I'd say about 3 or 4 songs that didn't have performance versions before are ready tonight.
It's interesting, you say, so there's a difference between a regular, just a virtual, listening version, and then the performance version. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Why do you say that?
So I basically just removed the lead vocal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll leave the background vocals in there because I'm not gonna do that. I can only sing the one at a time. I'm not gonna have everyone here. All right, let me get the next one. All right, the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other than that, do you have any previews of let's say upcoming projects, songs, events perhaps?
If I told you, I'd have to spell card you. I do have some pretty fascinating things in the works, though. There've been a lot of projects, a lot of client work lately that I'm afraid I can't get too far into, but keep an eye on the horizon in actually the very near future. By the end of the year, at least a few of them should have come out.
And of course, where can in case you are not following her, what's the best way to get in contact with you, or follow you to get information?
I do have a website. It's odyssey.eurobeat.com. It's a bit of a mouthful, but once you're there, it points to everything else. It's got my Twitch, my YouTube, my Spotify, all that kind of thing, as well as merch. I couldn't bring any here because I was very vividly unprepared as it is, and bringing that down here would have been a pain in the butt, but it is there. Yeah.
Anyways,
get someone else to do it for me.
Yeah, no, because it's after, I'm pretty sure it's had you done that, you had your thing out there, you would have been, yeah, I think you would have been doing pretty well like that. Anyways, so, but perhaps. Anyway.
I feel like my voice would have given out by now, though. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
And well, fun thing like that. If we were to host another event like this, would you want to come back?
Absolutely. In fact, if I come back next year, I'm gonna see if by then, I can have a Byakuren Hijuri cosplay ready. Yeah. If I come back next year, I will be Yokai Jesus, as best I can.
You do not know how absolutely conflicted I feel right now. Because part of me, it's like, okay, there's a part of me, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've actually even seen a Byakuren cosplayer today. I haven't seen one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that amazing gradient hair to this day.
Yeah, but like part of me is like really excited to see that, and then the other half of me is like white pride as Miko. It's like, you know how painful it is for me. Anyways.
Okay, like think about it this way. You can prove that in real life, Miko is better than Bayakura. You can try. You know what? Shouldn't you, as a leader, try to prove your superiority over any of the leaders?
But I welcome healthy competition. I'm so sorry, I'm getting my ass kicked out of here after this, aren't I?
Anyways, that's probably like all like the main questions like that I had because I memorized. I just forgot to print them out. Like, what?
Oh no!
Yeah, no, it was like I had so many other stuff to take, and then I was like, okay, I hadn't gotten food, and it's like, okay, then it's like, wait, who was supposed to like, oh wait, shit, that was me. Whoops. Oh, let me run back here real quick. Anyways, with that, I think we have a few more. We have like around, I want to say 10, 15 more minutes for questions. So
20 minutes from the looks of it.
yeah, so in that case, I'm going to open up to the floor. Yes.
What's a song that's been stuck in your head recently?
You're not gonna believe this. The DJ Command remix of Miracle Hinacle.
Aya.
I wanted to ask, what would you say is your favorite, what's your favorite remix that you've done, arrangement that you've done with A1?
Ooh, I think it has to be On the Moon.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I got the balance, the sound was all good, the actual like emotion was there. One of my favorite riffs that I ever made for them, I feel like it all came together for that one very well. I'm also pretty proud of like the most recent, I'm actually pretty proud of Our Desires. I feel like that was a fun, like the first time that I went around about the 170 mark with A1. Yeah. Thank you.
Rinosuke.
So if you have any power, any Toho character, what would it be?
The power of any Toho character?
Yeah.
Yukari. Yes.
You're gonna have to forgive me for putting you on the spot like this, but best pony.
Oh boy.
BoJack Horseman. If I had to pick from the show, Celestia.
Yes.
Yes.
What are some fandoms that you've looked into but you haven't fully processed? And yes, like you're like, it's like looking out the window and you're like, oh, that looks cool, but you just don't have time to look into it.
What are some fandoms or what was it?
Some fandoms, like.
I've heard really good things about like Spy vs. Spy. I'm sorry, Spy Family. What do you think Spy vs. Spy? I don't know. I kind of stay in my lane these days. There's so many shows and like so many games and whatnot that sound and look really good, and I just go, well, that's cool. Anyway, I only recently got into Valorant. I know, I'm so sorry. But fandoms, I guess I haven't really been paying too much attention. I've been too steeped in the ones I'm in. Yes.
What do you think of fan edits of Speed Racer 2008 with the top?
I mean, I don't mind. It's Avex you gotta look out for. I'm happy about it though.
Actual soundtrack.
Wait, what?
It works really well with that movie.
Yeah, like I'm generally really happy about fan works. I guess I just get concerned because I don't control the publishing over all of it, and sometimes I see folks make something nice and then they get their hands smacked and they think it was me. I've done nothing of the sort. I love that though. I love that kind of edit though.
Yes, you had a question?
Out of the pre-A1 Eurobeat remixes you did for Toho, which is your favorite?
Ooh, okay, you've done your homework. Okay. Okay. Oh, you're really gonna make me pick. See, I really liked Magical Girl for a little while, horribly mixed as it is. think I've got to give it to Deadly Fantasy. To the point where I referenced it in, yeah. I lost my train of thought. It left without me. Yeah. What? Let's see. Why is the title eluding me?
Catch us.
Thank you. Yes, Catch Us.
Yes.
Yeah, another question.
Follow-up question. Are you going to remake Deadly Fantasy?
That's an exceptionally good question. I've tried to avoid working away from A1 in terms of Toho material. Just because I haven't necessarily been cleared to do that kind of thing, and I kind of want to keep my working relationship with A1. They have not done anything in that regard to force that. It's just simpler. That said, if they wanted an updated version of Deadly Fantasy for whatever reason, actually that did happen with Final Breath. That was actually originally, I put that out as my own thing, and they're like, hey, can we have that? I'm like, okay. So probably not a remake unless requested by A1. That said, I would be surprised if A1 was not receptive to feedback of that sort. So do what you will.
I guess which of your songs, if like you could pick one, do you feel you put the most soul into, if that makes any sense?
Toho material or just in general?
I would say in general.
Oh God. Recently, I think that would go to Somewhere Within. Yeah, that was one that I very much wrote very personally, very intentionally. Before that, it would have been Somebody Else, and then I'm gonna try to pick a Toho answer just to keep it related. Okay. I remember putting a lot of myself into. The thing is, I've done so much. What the hell? I really put a bit of myself into Our Desires. I know the lyrics are a little bit vague, but I remember really feeling into it.
Anyone else have any questions? Yes? Sounds like you're... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. That's a fair question. Whenever I'm remixing something, I try to preserve as much as I can of the source material, not necessarily in terms of note for note, but in terms of the essence. I sort of one of my sort of artsiest things is I believe that every song has something specific that it gets across, whether it's a vibe or an intention or a message. And whatever decision I make to translate that into Eurobeat, I try to make sure that I respect the source material. For instance, with Dances with Wolves, it's so lush, it's funky, it's interesting, it's very playful. And if you listen closely to the remix, I've actually kept some of the instrumentation of the original because I wanted it to translate well into Eurobeat without losing some of that instrumentality. Actually, I actually recreated the bass pattern because I thought that was so important to what makes Dances with Wolves what it is. But yeah, whenever I do a remix, I do try to keep. I don't want it to feel like, oh, it's just this but Eurobeat. It's like, no, it's actually like this could belong to that. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, I have a. Oh, sorry. I have a friend from what's it called, Australia, who loves your work, and she asked, "What's your favorite Toho game?"
My favorite Toho game. Ooh. For the longest time, it was Perfect Cherry Blossom because that's the one I started with. I really liked UFO, like an unidentified fantastic object, but 18.5 kind of snuck up on me. The whole deck building, the little the sort of rogue light elements of it got addicting quickly in a way that a lot of the past games haven't. And I mean, I'm still rubbish at bullet hells, but I think right now it's still UFO, but with the black market just kind of poking. Like, you done? You done yet? Want to come down?
Yes.
On that note, what are some of your favorite games of all time?
Ooh, because you stream a lot of games too. Like you said, like you play Valorant quite a bit. I know.
Actually, that's the thing. A lot of my game streams don't do as well. People like to watch me work on music or just talk, which says something about my gameplay. But favorite games of all time: Mario 64, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 specifically, Portal 2. Gosh, games that have really clicked with me. I mean, DDR had a pretty lasting impression as well. DJ Max Technica. I'm trying to think of like more story-driven ones. It's so basic, but I actually really liked Undertale. I quite liked the journey that brought me on. Yeah, I think that's the list that comes to mind at least.
Ever consider doing any remixes for Undertale?
I did one of Bone Travel.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. Actually, there's a remix of Megalovania by Kankitsu that's exceptional. If you haven't heard that one, look it up. Yes.
Yes.
You get a lot of requests to do specific Toho songs that you haven't done yet.
Every once in a blue moon, a lot of people request that I do updates to previous originals or like previous like fanish songs, but not a lot of. I don't get a lot of Toho requests, which is kind of why I'm glad to hear them here. Yeah.
Yes. Mariso.
So I was wondering, and I hate to bring up My Little Pony again, but I'm very curious about how you feel about the popularity of Discord and how you feel about the
remix.
The various iterations you've made of it.
Ooh, yeah.
Listen, I'm too integral to that fandom to get out anytime soon. There's no getting off of Mr. Bones' well, right? I'll say this. Yoav of The Living Tombstone, since now that's a duo with Yoav Landau and Sam Haft, he and I go back far enough, and he's been such an exceptional sport about everything to where any amount of, I mean, everyone wants their original work to take off most, right? They want the source material to do best. But Yoav has been so kind about it and been so quick to point people out that it is a remix, that, here's the original, he's very honest about that. And having worked with him on other things before, there's no bitterness. I'm actually very happy I'm happy with what it is, like the impact that it's had, the remix, the original, and hell, if The Living Tombstone wanted to work with me again on anything, let's talk, let's hang out. Yeah, so I don't mind.
Sorry, what time is it right now? What time?
It's 3:50.
3:50. Okay, about 5 more minutes. So.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes. Yeah, so because after this, she's going to be doing her sound check, and we do need to actually clear the room and prep the room for this evening. So yeah, no, we got 10 more minutes. So anyone else have any more questions?
Yeah. I think the Aya had a question first.
Yeah, Aya first.
Favorite game soundtrack? The one that I heard most was 6. Was Perfect Cherry Blossom. Mostly because I actually played through most of it properly. That was the only one where I actually got to the end of level 6, but never did actually finish it. Yeah, I think that one stuck with me the most. I feel bad because it's been a long time since I've actually played Perfect Cherry Blossom. Is it level 2 or 3 where we fight Chen? 2. Thank you. All of level 2, like both of the themes, there's just a special place in my heart for Chen's theme. Yes.
Okay, so Necrophantasia or Nightfalls, which one do you prefer?
Necrophantasia. Yes.
This is just another genre question. Like, what do you think of like breakcore?
I don't mind it. It's not my specialty. I probably wouldn't be able to make it very well, but I don't mind it. It's one of those things like, oh, that's cool. Yes.
I guess sort of bouncing off of that, like how distinct is your taste in listening to music versus producing music?
How distinct is the taste between the two?
Like, what's the overlap and what's the difference basically?
Listening to music versus producing music, right?
Yeah.
So I noticed that a lot of what I've listened to lately is a lot calmer. Like, I have a playlist that I've listened to a lot more often that has stuff like DPR Ian and, actually, let me pull it up. Like, DPR Ian, Gareth T, a lot of QnA, just a lot more calm vibes, like slower, even a little bit more swingy. I don't know, I guess like the stuff that I make for myself or for anything else is very different from what I tend to listen to wind down. Eurobeat is a lot of fun to make, but make too much of it, you start to get a little anxious. Yeah, it's not as much as I love the genre to absolute pieces. I would lose blood over the genre, but it's not for everything and it's not for everyone, and I'm okay with that.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Have you played Celeste?
No, and I want to. I feel like a bad trans woman. I haven't played it yet, and I don't even like pickles. I'm a fraud. But I plan to. I think I own it. I just need to play it. I'm so bad at that kind of platformer.
Yes.
Wait, do trans people actually like pickles? I've never heard of that before.
Generally, being on estradiol means that you have a penchant towards salt, and pickles are a common way to get that. That's just not my favorite way. That could be a whole different panel. And I'm not qualified to speak on behalf of everybody either, so. No worries.
Any other questions?
I see one in the back.
To be Renko.
Yeah, seek a professional. Don't try to strain yourself, because I forced my voice up here for the longest time and I got a bump on my vocal cords. Find something natural, find a good balance. Sounding your best doesn't necessarily mean forcing it. In fact, if anything, it should usually mean the opposite. Your most comfortable range is more important than meeting some obligation for other people to accept you. You are more important than what they think of you. Anything else? Yeah.
Continuing on with the trans theme, for trans femmes, where would you recommend the shop?
I'm sorry?
For trans femmes, where would you recommend the shop for clothes? Shopping?
For trans femme, where do you recommend the shop?
I just get a lot of my stuff on Amazon. I probably shouldn't, but it's there, it's affordable. If you make, I feel like this has become a very different panel all of a sudden.
It's still about you, it's not about Toho, but it's about you, right?
I guess I lost the T in more than a couple of ways. Any other questions? Yes. Not this time. Actually, I wouldn't be able to sell any CDs of Toho material in the first place, insofar as they're not mine to publish. However, well, gosh, I haven't sold CDs in a hot minute. So not this weekend. I'll see what I can do in the near future to get some CDs, like some physical music out there in the near future, though. We'll see about Toho stuff as well. Maybe I'll ask A1.
Well, let's say after this weekend, the question to the audience then. After hearing the concert, who here would like to buy a Odyssey Eurobeat Toho CD?
Yeah.
I think you have your answer.
Yeah, I need to talk to A1 after this. Huh? Not at this hour, no. Elementals would be like, the hell are you calling me at 3 in the morning for?
Let's wait till later tonight then.
What?
Let's wait till later tonight then they call.
Maybe so, yeah.
Any other questions?
Oh, in the back.
In the back.
I answered that a bit ago. Don't force yourself. Use proper technique. Learn from those. Get good advice on how not to strain. Yes.
When would be a good time to like get autographs?
There's a meet and greet after the show, right?
Yeah. So the idea is, I think, so I haven't really planned it out. So as we move, as we like that, you're gonna have the meet and greet, where the registration is. That's probably the best thing. That way, as you kind of go out, then that way everyone starts to kind of, filter outward and stuff like that. You can, take pictures, autographs, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's probably me.
Blonde hair in the back, yes? You had a question, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Out of all of these songs and projects you've made and helped make over here, what's your favorite one in the project? Like, what do you enjoy making the most?
Ooh, that's.
Of the project, just the thing that makes you most happy to do.
That's a really good question. I guess. Oh boy. Like, is that just in terms of across the board or in terms of Toho material specifically? Oh gosh. I don't know. I guess it's really just that moment whenever, I'm not sure if I've been answering the question right. It's honestly whenever I'm able to properly translate the idea that's in my head, once I've got the mood of everything down. I can have the riff, I can have the lyrics down, but when I've actually managed to get all of it from here to here successfully, I think that's my favorite part. And honestly, it's not even a matter of like getting like the mandatory stuff, like if it's a remix, getting that element in there. It's just like, I guess just hearing it all click together in the way that I heard it in my head, and just hearing that in real life. I'm not sure if that answered the question though, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, what's the time right now? Should be almost 4, right?
3:58.
3:58, yeah. Maybe one more.
One more question, I don't bite. Hard.
Yes.
As far as the cops are concerned, no.
That's probably the fastest way to get a speeding ticket.
I plead the fifth. Exactly.
Yeah.
One more?
One more? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You said Super Mario 64 was one of your favorite games. Have you speedrun it?
I'm sorry?
You said Mario 64 was one of your favorite games. Have you ever attempted a speedrun, or how many times have you played it?
Well, I've played it a few times. Speedrun at 0. Shout out to Simple Clips though. Yep.
Anyways, I think that's all the time we have. Ladies and gentlemen, give it one more time for Odyssey Eurobeat.